I love war games, I love fantasy games. I don't know why I don't play more fantasy war games, but I really don't. I don't know the reason. Maybe history is really fascinating enough when it comes to war, to such a powerful, intense topic that I don't need elves and wizards there. I don't know. Anyways, I decided to give a try to a fantasy war game when I saw Dragon Rage. First, I saw that this game was getting a lot of buzz at Essen. Not that I went to Essen, but I read about that online, that it was getting buzz. And I just fell in love with the image on the cover. Call me shallow, but when I saw such a beautiful image, I decided I wanted to play the game under the lid. And played, I did. Fantasy Wargaming Dragon Rage, two-player game that depicts a series of battles between humans and monsters. All the battles take place in a siege slash attack to the city type of situation. Wizards, spells, monsters, different types of attacks and abilities. A lot of stuff going on in this game, so let's get started and let's take a closer look. The game uses a mounted board which is double-sided and both sides are just beautiful. Look at them. Oh, look at this one, then I'll show you the other one. This map is just gorgeous. On this side you have a city that the humans are going to defend from attacks that will be arriving from all around it. The city is surrounded by walls. There's a little bit of sea here, a river, bridges, gates. Let me show you the map more up close because I want to show you the level of detail and the nice colors. This is a really nice looking map. Maybe a little cartoonish because of the color palette, but hey, this is good cartoonish, okay? Let me show you the other side of the map. It represents a settlement inhabited by goblins and orcs, and this time the humans will be the attackers. And there's a river protecting areas of the settlement. And again, if you look up close, you see that the map just looks beautiful. It is just very nice looking. To me, this map is one of the most beautiful I've seen in quite a long time. Each scenario will have an attacker and a defender. Usually it is humans versus monsters. In this case, the monsters are the attackers and the humans are defending their city. The first phase in a turn is the spell phase for the invader. The invader can cast spells if he has units able to do so. Then the invader can move any and all of his units. The movement factors of a unit are printed at the bottom of the counter. The number on the left is the regular movement, the other number is movement on roads. If the unit only moves on roads, in this case, for example, that orc could move by 1, 2, 3. If he stays on the road, the goblin has 3 on 4, but he's not on a road, so he could still do 1 and 2. He has to stop at the wall. Giant, boom, boom, moves there. Dragons can be in 2 states. They can be flying, and in that case you use that counter, or they can be on the ground, and you use this as a counter to indicate that. A dragon may fly 2 axes, then turn by 60 degrees. Yes, facing is important for the dragons. Then the dragon can fly 2 more axes, turn again, and fly 2 more. And of course, a flying dragon doesn't have to worry about pretty much anything that happens on the ground. After the invader completed his movement, then he can launch range attacks with all units that are able to do so. Goblins, for example, are archers, but in this case they wouldn't be able to attack those enemies because they do not have a line of sight to them. The line of sight in this case is blocked by that wall. After this, if there are units of the invader that are adjacent to defending units, those units can attack the enemies using melee. And after that has been resolved, the game goes to the opponent, the defender, that goes to the same sequence: spells, movement, archery, and then melee. Wizards are powerful units that can cast spells. They have 10 spell points that they can spend throughout the game. This is the cost for each spell. A spell that they can use is Boost Morale, that will make units that are close by attack better. Also, the Boost Morale spell can convince militia to attack. Usually militia only defends unless under the effect of that spell or unless there is a hero around that is leading the militia. Fog allows the wizard to add this counter to the board, and then an area around that counter is covered with fog and combat cannot take place there. Whirlwind, it is useful to destroy locations belonging to the opponent. Also, it is useful when dragons are flying around, because a whirlwind may force the dragon to land pretty ingloriously, that is actually to crash on the ground and to take damage from that. Lightning Bolt does not have a specific counter, it simply inflicts damage on an opponent. And Summon Elemental, pretty powerful spell because it allows the wizard to add a unit such as this one to the board and then to use that unit against the enemies. Melee is always between adjacent units, but it comes in two flavors. One is between humans and regular monsters, like in this case. In such a combat, units can attack adjacent units and they can combine their attack power together. The attack power is the number on the top right corner. In this case, for example, these two trolls and the orcs could combine their combat factors to attack the hero and the infantry. They would have 6 total, and when an attack goes against enemies that are stacked together, those enemies must be attacked as a single stack. In this case, this would be an attack of 6 against 5. Then you look at this table and you cross-reference the strength of the attacker with that of the defender, and you find the number to hit. In the case I showed you before, it would be 6. You roll 1d6, if you roll equal to or higher than the number to hit, then the defending unit is destroyed. And also, if you find a D when you cross-reference, the unit is automatically destroyed. This means that the unit that is being attacked is destroyed on a roll of 11 or 12 on 2d6, and this is an automatic miss. A dragon on the ground also has a special attack that takes place during movement. The dragon spends an extra movement point to enter the X where an enemy unit is, and it can attack that unit immediately during movement. Also, a dragon can breathe fire twice per game. When the dragon decides to do so, can breathe fire in 2 axes, either these 2 axes here, or the 2 right in front of him, or these are the 2 axes. Units that are in the axes that are being attacked by the dragon fire must roll to see if they can escape. Escape is that number there, in this case 5. A unit must roll that number or more on 1d6, otherwise the unit is barbecue for the dragon. Attacks against special monsters work differently. Each special monster has a display to record the level of health. For example, you use this display to keep track of the health of the giants. You will have the units on the board, and you will use this marker here to keep track of the ones that the giant takes. Attacks against special monsters do not use the combat table that I showed you earlier. Special monsters simply have a number to hit. For example, to hit a giant, you need to roll a modified 6. That's it. There is no difference between stronger or weaker units when it comes to hitting. However, then, if a unit hits, the combat strength of the unit becomes the number of wounds that the unit inflicts on the giant. In this case, this infantry rolls a modified 6, then the giant loses 2 points of health, and of course, if it goes down to 0, the giant is eliminated. And this idea is much cooler when you apply it to larger monsters such as the dragons. Some monsters in this game have different parts of the body, each with its own strength and health, and so the enemies will have to attack the parts of the body individually, and when a part of the body is hit, then of course the health of that part of the body only is reduced. There are limitations, of course. For example, an enemy must be in front of the dragon to attack the head. But then the other cool thing is that also the player that maneuvers the dragon can use the parts of the body of the dragon to attack, and those parts can be used independently or in combination. The dragon may attack an enemy by attacking with the head and with the wings, and then maybe use the legs to kick somebody else, or all attacks against a single enemy. And different parts of the body of the dragon have different numbers to hit, so some are harder to hit, some are easier. And as the dragon starts being damaged, then the dragon will also lose some capabilities. For example, the dragon starts walking slower when his legs are hit down to a certain level. The worse the level, the slower the dragon may not be able to fly anymore if his wings are damaged enough. So this is a rich system that offers a lot of tactical possibilities. You will have characters maneuvering around the dragon looking for a weak spot. You may have a hero brave enough to enter the same space where the dragon is to attack the belly, which is the weakest spot, but also, well, it takes some guts to enter that space and only the hero can do it. Very fun system. And then you really have a lot of these monsters with different capabilities. You had the worms and the T-Rexes and the sea serpents and the rocks, again with different parts of the body, different attacks and restrictions. Very fun system and just so many possibilities. Imagine combining these special monsters with different combinations of regular troops. You really have a lot of different styles of gameplay that you can get out of this game. But what are the players trying to do? Well, the defender is trying to defend the city, of course, and the attacker is trying to destroy as many of these locations as possible, these locations with a number printed on them. Some units may need to spend movement points when they reach such a location. Some units may just enter a location to destroy it. Other units may need to attack it. Maybe a spell can be used. When a location is destroyed, then a marker with the appropriate number is placed on that location, and the game continues until one of the following applies. The attacker hasn't been able to destroy anything for 10 turns, then the defender is the winner. The attacker has been outside of the city for 10 turns, then the defender again is the winner. Or the attacker can choose to end the game when he realizes that he won't be able to destroy anything anymore because the defender has mangled and crippled most of his units. Well, at that point the game is over and you count the points that are generated by these markers on the board, and the number of points scored by the attacker that way will tell you who the winner is, and in case the invader is the winner, also the level of victory of the winner. This game has it all. Beautiful components, nice streamlined gameplay. It is easy to learn. It has actually two manuals. One is a quick start guide with the basic game, and another one is the complete guide with everything you need to know to play everything you have in the game. But I would suggest start from the big manual, because the short manual gives you the basic game, which actually is a game that has dragons, which simply are the most complicated thing in the entire game. They're the most complicated units to maneuver. My suggestion is read the full manual, skipping everything that has to do with the dragons, then play a scenario that only has land units, then you add dragons and flying units, and everything will work. But what is great is that, yes, you have a little bit of minutia here and there, so many spells and abilities and monsters and things, but everything clicks together beautifully. Everything really comes together and comes alive in a story, in an adventure where the theme shines through every single aspect of the game. Thematically, the game is incredibly strong, mechanically is very strong as well, and it works beautifully. I enjoyed this game a lot. If I were to find a little minus, I would say that some of the scenarios seem to be particularly hard for one side rather than the other, but there are many of them. I haven't even tried them all, and I'm sure that there are many that actually do not have that aspect. If you're playing solo, of course, the lack of balance is not a big deal, and then there is a system to create your own scenarios, so you can just make your own, and I think you can have a lot of fun for a long time with this game. The replay value to me is mind-blowing. I'm enjoying this game a lot. I highly recommend it, and really makes me think that maybe I should be doing more fantasy wargaming in the future.